There we go. Perfect. So, hello everyone. I am so excited to be here with you today. I felt a strong pull to go live and I just followed the impulse because I've been getting a lot of messages from clients, from women in this group expressing just the energetic heaviness that is going on right now, that is a collective feeling. And with everything that's happened this year, can you blame us, right? There's a collective shift going on that all of us can feel, as well as individual transformation that's going on within us. And I just wanted to be completely transparent about what's been going on with me as well, and maybe it'll resonate. And I hope to just provide you with some peace of mind and some strategies today on how to really move through this energy and how to shift out of that heaviness that is so pervasive for all of us right now. So I am a Cancer. So tonight is actually the new moon solar eclipse in Cancer. So anybody who's a Cancer out there, we are feeling this even more than, everybody's feeling it, but it's very heightened for us. So as above, so below. So anything that's going on astrologically with the planets is going to affect us here on Earth. So I think it's really important to have this conversation so that we have a better understanding of how this is influencing our lives and how to really move through in the most graceful way possible. And so the new moon solar eclipse is at 0 degrees. So if you look at the number 0, it's a portal. So really for the collective, it is a portal for us to walk into this new realm of the new earth that we are creating. And 0 degrees in astrology is always about new beginnings. So fresh starts, new beginnings. So something has to die off in order for us to be reborn. And depending on where this placement is in your chart, I know for Cancers, it's in our first house of self-expression and how we identify and our image and all of that. So you might feel these shifts of I'm really craving to redo some aspect of how I look and how I appear and how I present myself to the world. For others, it might show up differently, but I really want you to tune in for yourself and just, first of all, be gentle, because this is a really harsh time. We have had a lot of planets in retrograde. I think this week there are, Neptune is moving into retrograde. So there's 6 planets in retrograde, which is really forcing us to slow down, to go within and to examine these things that maybe we haven't looked at in a really long time. And for me, that's shown up as really reflecting and working with a healer right now on helping to release a lot of these 3D traumas, these really dense traumas that are held in my subconscious. And it's around the sisterhood wound, around bullying, and just feeling like I'm finally piecing together the grand landscape of my life and the different traumas that have occurred that I didn't even label as traumas. And I'm just having a better understanding of what that looks like. And as we do this work, this inner work of releasing and really going in and feeling fully, right? Cancer is all about the emotions and nurturing and feeling fully. I'm not surprised that I'm going through this, and I'm sure a lot of you are going through something similar as well, of really feeling into that heaviness or sadness or depression or whatever is coming up for you to be released. And so the first thing that I want to impart is just not to judge it, right? Like, oh my gosh, why do I have this heaviness? Like, that's where the mind goes. And to just really feel into it and know that you can move through it. And we'll talk about that a little bit later on in the video. But I've been moving through a lot of this energetic density myself, and I know that it's meant to bring me into a higher path, into that ascension path. So for those of you, I'm just going to quickly explain what the ascension path is. So there are multiple states of consciousness that we have access to. And I just did a post about this, talking about how, there's always the opportunity for us to wake up, and there are different layers of spiritual awakening. And for a lot of us, I think COVID really brought up a lot of things, a lot of uncomfortable emotions, and that was actually a portal for us to open up into this ascension path. And for a lot of other people, they'll remain asleep, and this might just be something that was like an inconvenience, and that's okay. Everybody's at their own level of consciousness, but it's 3D consciousness, which is like the physical world around us. It's very dense, it's very heavy. Oftentimes our traumas are lodged in our subconscious body and our emotional body, and we don't even realize it, right? Because it's unconscious. So that density is, I always tell people to think of like a really heavy weight or like a bowling ball. So it's the density that's holding us back from really accessing those higher levels of consciousness, which are for fourth and fifth dimensional consciousness. So 5D consciousness is essentially Christ consciousness. So it's where we're owning our soul gifts, we're owning our brilliance, we experience higher states of joy, light, love, abundance, all of that, because the particles are a lot finer. So energy can either operate as a particle or a wave, and in fifth dimensional consciousness, it's operating as a wave. So everything moves a lot quicker. Manifestation moves quicker. We feel higher states of joy, freedom, all of that. So the goal is to be able to just be where you are. So if you're in 3D right now and you're like, oh, I'm moving through a lot of these traumas and releasing, just allow that to move through you, because there's nothing that's good or bad about any of these states of consciousness, but it's really being aware of where you are and moving through that transformation. And a lot of it is internal. And that's really the work that I do with my clients, is helping them to release so that they can ascend through these different layers of consciousness. And consciousness is not a place, it's more of a level of being. So we start to see life through a softer lens. We start to have more compassion. It's really the way that you're seeing life. And it's so important, because as we're going through all of these shifts collectively, like I said, individually, you're going to be experiencing a lot of these things. And it's important to understand that there's nothing wrong, there's nothing bad about anything that's happening. It's just that natural progression that we're being called into these higher states. So 3-dimensional is really, physical. We look at things like money as really being like, there's 7 different areas. So there's financial, spiritual, there's like all these different areas that we relate to in all these different levels of dimensions. So 3D is like very much about like the programming we received, and what we think about money and our relationships and all of those things. And as we wake up to this spiritual journey, to this awakening, we start moving into 4th dimensional consciousness, which is essentially the bridge to get you to 5th dimensional consciousness. So all of this is relevant because we are being invited. And for those of you watching this video, you've either woken up or you are waking up currently. And so there might be a lot of just things bombarding your energy field right now that feels so heavy, so overwhelming. And I want you to know, unfortunately, it's all normal, it's okay, and to give yourself grace. Now, some things that you can do to help kind of shift through these layers and just really invite in that compassion is to actually create space for yourself. So if you're feeling really bombarded by social media and all these things going on, allow yourself that grace. Allow yourself this space to, shut off electronics or to go out in nature, because when you're in that space, nature is very healing, it's very cleansing. So putting your feet on the grass, allowing yourself to just cry or to get angry, move through those emotions instead of suppressing them. Suppression is 3D consciousness. It's like, I can't feel my feelings, I'm just gonna numb them. Don't fall into that trap. Allow yourself to really feel. And again, Cancer is all about feeling. We're going into Cancer season, and it's a Cancer eclipse, and there's all of these things going on. And so it's okay. It's okay to just allow yourself to feel, to be in that confusing space. I recommend for a lot of people to journal if that feels nourishing to you. Just journaling out how frustrated you are, because that's a way of purging that resistance, right? There's resistance to the now whenever you're feeling like, oh, like, why is this happening, and all of that. Just allow yourself to purge in whatever way feels good. So journaling is great, meditating 100%. It's allowing you to connect to that higher energy. And when you meditate, you actually cleanse your energetic field. Anything that is going to help you in your physical body as well is going to be very nourishing. So taking an Epsom salt bath or going for a walk, dancing, moving, allowing that stuck energy to come through, because that's transmutation, right? When we can alchemize, back in the medieval times, alchemy was the process where these wizards would go through these 7 different phases and allow the density, the lead to be transmuted through these 7 different processes into gold. And that's essentially what we're doing whenever we're moving our energy, whenever we're going within, when we're feeling and allowing ourselves to experience all of the things that are going on in order to be shed and released. Because if not, we'll just continue the cyclical pattern of experiencing the same things and moving through the same relationships and toxic habits and all of that. And if you're watching the video this long, 11 minutes in, I know that you are a person who wants to transcend that and to really be an enlightened being, somebody that really is connected to that sense of joy and soul mission. And I think that that's really where we're moving. That's what this whole container has called us into, is this ascension grid, right? We're laying a new foundation. Things need to be burned down in order to be rebirthed. And actually, something interesting about tonight's new moon eclipse is that the moon's shadows is covering part of the sun, so it almost looks like a ring of fire. So this is really rare, and it's representing the destruction of the old self to be rebirthed into the new. So I just felt it was important to come on today and share just the perspective of really what's happening, because oftentimes when we can kind of grasp and say, oh, okay, like this is what's happening, it's a little bit easier to then know the action steps and the things that we can do in order to move through that energy, instead of repeating cycles or staying stuck or just feeling really heavy. So there are so many ways that you can move through this. If you want additional support, I am here for you if you have any questions or anything like that. I am trying out this new Facebook Live on Firefox, so I don't even know, comment moderation, discussion. I don't even know what I did with this, but hopefully everybody got to see it. I think that it was really important for this conversation to open up. And if anybody has comments or questions about anything that I talked about, I am open. I love to share my knowledge to really help you feel comfortable in coming to me with any questions that you might have or anything that you're going through. Like I said, I've been talking to a lot of people through Messenger and helping them to just understand a little bit what's going on collectively and on an individual level. So I love you all. I hope that you have an amazing weekend, and don't forget to set your intentions tonight. That's one last thing I will say, is the new moon is so potent for new intentions. So write those intentions down, whatever's in your heart, really drop into your heart, close your eyes, move from your head to your heart, and feel into what you want to invite into your life in the next year, because this portal is huge. It's really an invitation into a totally new space. So anyway, set those intentions, and I love you. I will see you on the next video.